gift of my life.
Today, I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling scared. And you know why? Because I just saw Beau is Afraid in gold class, and I'm asking myself, is this a misunderstood masterpiece or a career killer for Ari Aster? Let's jump right into it. First of all, I think I should probably talk about my expectations going into this film. This whole review is coming from somebody who loves Midsummer. Midsummer, for me, is a top-tier 5-star movie, and I genuinely think it's one of the best of all time. I also really liked Hereditary, so for me, Ari Aster probably was up there as one of my favorite directors. Me personally, I'm somebody that loves trailers. I love watching trailers, the way they get me excited for a film. I love seeing how they're edited, constructed, put together. And this Beau is Afraid trailer, I had watched probably, I reckon I've clocked up at least 100 watches of the Beau is Afraid trailer. And unfortunately, I think maybe that did do me a bit of a disservice when it came to watching the film and actually enjoying it. But I'll get into that a little bit later. So my overall thoughts on the film. While I found moments of this really entertaining, I think throughout the entire thing, I was just waiting for something crazier or something more impactful to happen. But probably in the end, I was disappointed. Going into this film, I like to believe that I was ready to watch a movie that was going to be really based in metaphor, based in symbolism. But overall, I just found it was so much sort of slower and uneventful than what I was hoping for. I think if you like films such as The Master, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, or Mother, you're going to really like this style of filmmaking. For me, those films I'm not a fan of, to be honest. But that being said, 3 other films that I think are actually in the vein of this style of filmmaking would be The Green Knight, Where the Wild Things Are, and Mulholland Drive. And they're some of my favourite films of all time. They're all slow-paced. They've all got abstract storylines, just like Beau is Afraid. They don't quite make sense, but the thing about all of these that I feel that really draws them apart, and I wish that Beau is Afraid does, was they commit to a certain style or commit more to a certain theme or idea. But unfortunately for me, Beau is Afraid felt scattered across a whole bunch of different ideas, and even though, this might be Ari Aster's intention, it didn't really land for me overall as a cohesive film. Talking about this film after watching it with my good friend Jack, who you can follow on Letterboxd for some interesting takes.
What the hell?
Jack said to me how he thought that the movie really captured well the idea of being in a dream. And that's something I do agree with. I think this movie does a great job of, capturing just that feeling in a way that feels very realistic. Probably only Mulholland Drive, as another movie that I've seen, captures that dream-like sense in the same way that this does. But I think overall, though, your enjoyment of this movie really depends on whether its depiction of anxiety resonates with you. For me, that's somebody that's dealt with anxiety for probably the majority of my life. I didn't really think that this film tapped into the way that I see anxiety or the way that I feel anxiety. But I think that's not to say that the film doesn't do a good job of exploring anxiety as a whole. It didn't do it for me personally. But for example, my friend Jack, he thought it was a really insightful and accurate depiction of that feeling. So I think your enjoyment of this film is really going to depend on whether you see yourself in the fear and the worry that is just constantly happening for Beau at the center of this film. I think overall, though, it still felt quite slow-paced. I think some of that, again, might have been that, I'd watched the trailer 100 times. So from the trailer, I could almost gather all the sort of key moments. And the trailer did pretty much give away almost everything in the film. Unfortunately, it pains me to say it, but I would suggest not watching the trailer as many times as I did, despite it being such a brilliant trailer. And yeah, in the end, I was just left wishing that it went harder. It committed more to the craziness and to the absurdism that it was trying to present. It just sort of felt like, to me, it didn't nail sort of a cohesive feeling or idea. And then there are even parts, especially towards the end, where the pacing for me personally just felt quite slow, and I was prepared to sort of wait through that, expecting, like a really strong build up and a strong climax and a payoff to that slow pacing. For example, in Midsummer, say the cliff scene where, it's quite slow, it's all building up and just bubbling below the surface, and then bang, it hits you. But unfortunately, in this film, I didn't think it was able to capture that same sort of catharsis that in the past I think Ari Aster has been so good at delivering. That being said, I do really respect this film. I like that it exists. I wouldn't even say that it's a bad film. It didn't resonate with me personally, but I'm really glad it exists. Overall, final rating time, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Some people are going to say it's harsh, but for me, there's parts of it I liked, but then there's also parts of it that sort of just left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So, on rewatch, perhaps, maybe it would be a higher rating for me, but still doesn't, for me, draw me in as something that I want to spend 3 hours of my time watching again for, moments that I didn't really feel like they brought any sense of catharsis or, fist bump or impact moments that you really do remember. So overall, that's my short thoughts on Beau is Afraid. Thank you so much for watching, guys. More videos coming soon, more thoughts, more reviews, maybe some edits. You can follow me on Letterboxd right here. Some good links in the description below. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you're staying afraid wherever you are.